And we know that behavioral change impacts the entire person, not just your mind. It impacts on you emotionally, it impacts on you physically, mentally, and socially. So this text encompasses everything that needs to be changed about us. And we know that change cannot be effective unless we ask Jesus to make that change for us. We of our own selves cannot change ourselves. And we need to ask God to help us to be able to carry out that change. And he can do the change for us. He can work miracles in our lives. So we want you to stand and we'll read together Galatians 5:22 to 26. Let's all stand. Everybody have the text. Galatians 5, verses 22 to 26. Let's all read together. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. So indeed we see that these things which we desire, if we don't have them, in order for us to have them, we must evoke some type of change in our lives. And we know that change in itself does not come easy. And as we all, thank you, you may be seated. And we know that human behavior is not easy to change. We are all habit-forming creatures. And when we have formed habits, they are very, very difficult to change, or as we say, they're very difficult to break. And we start to build or to establish our behavior from how early? Can anybody tell me how early does behavior starts? Pardon me? Yes, before you were born. And if any of you were there on Thursday night, Sister Carmita Duglin spoke on the prenatal effects. And we know that before you're born, actually you are being shaped. So therefore, change can come throughout any phase of your life. And we know that there are basically 5 stages. We know they're the prenatal, infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. But at some point in time, throughout your life span, change might be more difficult than at another period. And I think Brother Saul will go into that. So we want you to understand that throughout your lifetime, it's all about change. You don't remain one way all the time. And therefore, in order for us to cultivate good habits, in order for us to, as the scripture lesson says, in order for us to manifest the fruits of the Spirit, we must change. So, without any further ado, I'm going to invite Elder Saul Leacock to the podium. Elder Leacock will speak to us on factors that hinder or influence behavioral change. After Elder Leacock speaks for just about a half an hour, we will have Brother Steve Codrington, and he will speak on exercise. We know that is rather important. He will speak on exercise and behavioral change, followed by Sister Duglin, who will look at the steps to behavioral change. So I trust that you would enjoy this evening session, that it will be informative, and you will take the opportunity to learn something more. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We want to look succinctly at these factors which influence or hinder behavior change. There's one area I have to deal with all the time is attitudes and behavior and getting people to change their lifestyle, their behavior, their attitudes, and that is on a consistent basis. So I'll be highlighting the important factors as well. All right, so listen very carefully as we seek to get going in this presentation. And I trust that at the end of it, we will see, know, and understand the importance of change. That's what all of us want, change. They said that the only person who likes change or welcomes change is a baby in a wet diaper. And that's unfortunate, right? All of us as adults, we should welcome change. All right, first of all, desire. Getting right to the heart. Desire, that's key. A person must really want to change and not just talk about it. Not just talk about it, all right? Talking doesn't work unless, of course, the talking is going back to our head to persuade us. We call it self-talk. Okay, that's one. We'll come back to this one in a minute. A lot of people just want to complain and to not do anything. And the Bible says, if there be first a ready mind, it is accepted. So there must first be a ready mind in order for it to be accepted by God. If there's no readiness, there's no action for change. Readiness of mind. Otherwise, we'll be in this position, complaining and walking about depressed. We must have a teachable spirit. Teachable spirit, key ingredient. If a person is going to change, they must be open to be taught, willing to learn. A person must be teachable if they are to be willing to change. You can't say you know everything about everything. There are some things we do not know, and that is the area that is our blind spot to us. There are some things you know that I don't know. There are some things I know that you don't know, and there are some things that you and I don't know. And there are things that both of us have in common in terms of knowing. All right. The Bible says, again, if any man will to do his will, he shall know. So true knowledge comes by a willingness to know. And what there's that willingness, that desire to know, it brings with it true knowledge. So true learning has more to do with the heart than the intellect. The intellect may understand and grasp it, but it cannot fully understand the principles. They may hear the intellect, but they may not be able to practice. They will not know it experientially. All right. Some people say they want to change, but don't want to be told what to do. Have you ever met people like that? They don't want to be told what to do. And I've told you the story already about a man who wanted to stop smoking. And he came to the pastor and he said, Pastor, I would like to stop smoking and drinking. And the pastor said, well, that's good. But have you prayed about it? He said, yes, Pastor, I've prayed about it. So what did you pray? He said, I pray and ask God to help me to stop smoking and drinking. The pastor said up front, well, Jack, you're praying a wrong prayer. The next time you pray, don't pray and ask the Lord to help you to stop smoking and drinking. Pray this prayer. Lord, remove from me the desire to want to smoke and drink. And the man looked at the pastor with his face upturned and said, but Pastor, if I pray that prayer, I won't get my cigarettes nor my rum. He didn't realize that it is the desire that must be removed before the behavior can change. And there are people like that. They say they want to change, but deep down inside, they don't really want to change. Deep down inside. So we got to work first on the mind. That's where we come in. The Bible says the wisdom that is from above is, well, it says it's first pure, but then it goes on to say it is easy to be entreated. That is, it is teachable. Wisdom that is from above is teachable. And the more people learn, the more they recognize that they don't know. And that's what keeps them humble. All right? Okay. Third point, support. You're going to need support. If you're going to make a change, you need to have somebody or bodies having you accountable for the choice and the decision that you plan to implement. And you're accountable to that person. Support is key. Someone must be available to provide a helping hand. Some people can change on their own. That is, they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But generally, if they are discouraged, they need someone to help them out of where they are. This is what Galatians 6:2 means when it says, bear each other's burdens. Bear one another's burden. All right. So whether it be a husband or with a wife, planning together to bring about some change financially or in the relationship, there must be some change, cooperation. Or, well, as a matter of fact, this is the opposite. This is others teasing and laughing at an individual. Definitely that does not motivate. It does not support. Neither does it motivate people for change. Let me mention this up front. In the world, there are certain people that fit into the category of the vulnerable population. Vulnerable population. Anybody here know the vulnerable population in the world? One, children. Children are part of the vulnerable population. Women, generally. Pregnant women. Physically challenged individual. They are in the category of the vulnerable population. Mentally challenged individuals. Obese people are in that category, vulnerable population. They're exposed to a number of things. Overweight and poor people who are poor as well. And when it comes to health, the people who are obese and overweight usually don't get much encouragement or support. They get a lot of criticism. They get a lot of teasing and pulling down and tearing. And sometimes as human beings, we say some very harsh things to people. We do not motivate nor encourage them. Even at church, too. A lady went to church, and she was a good size. A lady that I know close to me. And somebody says that she looks like a young elephant. Or a young whale. We like to tease one another. And that does not help to motivate people. It does not work. Giving them encouragement and support works. All right? We're coming back to this one a little more. Now, before we move on, I need to let you know something about the human mind. We just dealt with desire. We dealt with being teachable. But let me come back to desire. You see this thing called the human mind? I'm going to spend some time at the health there dealing with it too. The human mind has been wonderfully made. Now let me give you a little example. The Bible says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. It also has to do with the human brain and it has to do with the human mind. Two doctors carried out a research one day and they proved clearly that specific thoughts generate specific patterns of brain activity. For example, by simply intending to move your finger, the finger area of the motor cortex shows an immediate readiness change in electrical potential. That is just an intention. Just an intention. And there are other studies that have been carried out, and PET scans, that show that mental events such as focus attention, can activate specific nerve events in our brain. Can you imagine that? That is why I stress so much on the power of the will, the power of thought, psychosomatic diseases, and so on. That's why I stress on that. The power of the human brain. So the mind is able, by attention, to activate any selected parts of the human brain at will. That's the mind. All right? Now, this is a very important concept. Now, no end of the spread of prophecy says some important points about the will, which we'll come to now. So, our motivation for change must be right. Hello? Did you hear that? Our motivation for change must be right. In other words, never attempt change for change's sake alone. Don't just do it to impress others. Don't do it for simply the physical benefits or just to look or feel good. Not even that. When people ask me what exercising, I told them I exercise more for the brain than for the body. Because I know the benefits of that activity when it comes to the neurotransmitters in the brain and what it does. We must be willing to do right because it is right. Now, let me give you the example. Josh McDowell wrote a monumental thesis like that, a book called Why Wait? And in that book, he gives evidence upon evidence as to when people understand why they should wait, it is a more critical factor than good advice people give or what they should do or what they shouldn't do. So when people understood why they should wait, the social, the emotional, the health, the psychological reasons why they should wait, it helps to motivate them to make that decision to wait. They understand consequences, oh yeah, and every choice has a consequence. As I told a group of young people this week, you cannot take up one end of a stick without taking up the other end. Do you follow me there? Hello, you're there? All right. Are you there? All right. I just need to hear you. You cannot take up one end of the stick without taking up the other. The first end is the choice. The next end are the consequences of that choice. If you don't want the consequences, you don't take up the stick at all. But once you take up the one end of the stick, there are certain consequences that will come. There are some people who make decisions and choices, whether it be at church, at school, at work, wherever, but they do not want certain consequences. The consequences are inevitable as a result of the choice that we have made. That's the same part of the stick, the opposite end of the stick that we don't like. All right. So you must be willing to do the right because it is right. That's one motivation. The next motivation, only deep honesty can truly bring about beneficial and permanent change. You heard it? Only deep honesty and permanent change. That is why when people tell me, I can't get along with my wife, I tell me to be honest. Be honest with me. Is it that you can't get along with your wife or husband, or you don't want to get along? Which is it? And when it boils down, it is because they don't want to get along. Not that they can't get along. Because where there's a will, there's a... I'm not hearing you. Where there's a will, there's a... Way. All right. Only a next higher motivation. Only a deep, heartfelt desire to please God because we love Him. That can bring about the change. All right. Change in our choices of food. Change in the way we eat. Change in the lifestyle that we choose to live. Many people don't want cancer, but they still like and enjoy satisfying their palate with things that can lead to carcinogens being included in the stomach and free radical damage, which cause eventually cancer. Because 10,000 times a day, our cells are being bombarded by free radical. And once they give in, it opens the door for our cells to behave abnormally. Change occurs right inside of our system. All right. You may have failed in the past, but the future isn't determined by the past. It's determined by what you decide to do right now. And Philippians 2:13 is a beautiful promise. I can do how many things? All things through Christ who strengthens me. Because, we want happiness. But happiness doesn't come from things. I've heard somebody say the other day, I got married because I wanted to be happy. You do not get married in order to be happy. That sounds new to some of you, right? You do not get married in order to be happy. You must first be happy, and you carry that happiness into your marriage, and you create a happy marriage. But when you go into marriage looking for happiness, you are going to be sadly disappointed. And if you look to your spouse for happiness, again, another disappointment. So you go in with unfulfilled expectations, the expectation that will never be realized. It is what you bring to it that will determine. Just like church. The church is made up of people who come from homes and families, and if they come from homes and families that are depressed or in a depressogenic environment, they will bring it to church. The same attitude, and that is what determines the atmosphere of spirituality of a church. You develop the spirituality at home first, in your heart. Then you bring it to church, and you come to share. That's why on Wednesday night prayer meeting, we said that the prayer meeting depends heavily on those who come and what they bring to the meeting. Read it downstairs, is on the bulletin board. All right, let's move on. If you want to change, stop thinking and believing that you are a product of your past and start acting and start behaving like the person you want to be. Hello? Start acting and behaving like the person you want to be. Remember, your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain reacts according to your thought. You know, once upon a time, I thought that behavior was due to the brain. And I realized that I was wrong. It was due to the thoughts. And the thoughts can actually change the brain structure. That's another piece of research. The thoughts can actually change the brain structure. What a statement. You see, some piece of research was carried out some time ago. Because the brain and thinking is based on fluid activity. Fluid activity. Neurotransmitters, chemicals, that we think chemically, basically. And anything that interferes with the chemical reaction, it gives a different pattern in terms of the shape of the chemicals, and in that turn, the shape of the kind of thoughts that we will think and choose. All right, so remember, the brain doesn't know the difference, so you can start acting and behaving, and eventually it will take control of your behavior, your life. Now, setting the will. Back to setting the will. Setting the will, key. Now, a lot of people say we like to blame people for things. You know, there are certain things we should not do. There are certain things we should not do, even at church and as a Christian, but we still ignore the direct word of God, and we do it, and then we blame people when other decisions are made. But we have a will. And the will is the governing force in the nature of man. The will. The will is the governing force in the nature of man. Everything depends upon the right action of the will. And that includes change. The brain is very sensitive. As a matter of fact, there's another piece of research I have here that was carried out. And it says, Dr. Wilder Penfield took on this research, and he in this experiment, he shared some experience in which he was probing the exposed brain of conscious patients undergoing surgery for epileptic seizures. That's what he was doing. And as he touched the surface of the temporal cortex with a gentle electric current, his patient would relate an experience of many years before. The patient would be reliving that experience all over again. He would see the people, the street corner, the barn. He would hear the sounds, the music, the conversations that took place years before. It was all there, permanently recorded in the brain, ready for playback at the touch of a gentle electric probe. Now, I have to use this in dealing with people in terms of their past. The understanding that is that there are certain areas of the brain that can actually be stimulated. Stimulated. All right, but the question boils down. If everything depends on the right action of the will, I ask the questions this evening to all of us. Based on our attitude, our behavior, our lifestyle, our habit, This is the question. Do we really want change? How much are we willing to sacrifice to achieve it? How much? I am convinced that when I see certain people behaving certain ways and showing certain attitude or not moving in a certain direction, they are not yet willing to change. They seem comfortable, they like the routine, they like the habits they have formed, and they are not willing to change. Don't mind all the talk you put down about health. After the health day, it's a different story altogether. After the health day. All right, so do we really want to? How much are we willing to sacrifice to make that change? The will. There are a lot of things that can be accomplished with the will being fixed. The fixedness of the will. And by the way, all of us here have the potential. You ever heard the word stubborn? Huh? See the word stubborn? Obey. That's the will too. And when we set our mind that we're going to Bridgetown, our mind is fixed. And God doesn't interfere with people's freedom of choice. So he's not going to stop you if you fix your will and you stubbornly want to do that which is contrary to his will. But you need to understand that there are consequences for exercising your will in the wrong direction. Consequences. But all of us here have the capacity. We can set our minds, not stubbornly, but determinedly to do what is right. That is, every morning to study God's word, to exercise, to have our devotion every morning without fail, and develop a pattern that can actually become second nature to us. Second nature. Now, I can't get it to exercise all morning as you wake up. If you exercise first, or you do devotion after, some people do that, put on your walking shoes or running shoes and start. Go through the door. Don't wait for the feeling. Don't wait for the feeling. Feelings come after the setting of the will, the determination. And you will find yourself getting into a pattern that is easy. All right? So whether it be exercises or sprinting or jogging, all right, making correct choices. Choices made against all odds with the will, determination, and perseverance will give you change. Not easy. Because determination is not easy. You have to fix your mind. It is, as Elder Douglin quoted this morning, something I said on Thursday night. It is not eating the things we like to eat. It is liking the things we have to eat that will give us healthy bodies. Not eating the things that we like. It is liking the things that we have to eat. Not easy. All right. I said it's not easy because I know. I will explain to you why in a minute. Choices, making correct choices. Not easy. All right. One motivational speaker said, there are two primary choices in life. To accept conditions as they exist or accept the responsibility for changing them. Accept the responsibility for changing them. Stop blaming people for the choices you have made. Take and accept responsibility for the choice that you have made. 22 choices. The person is right. Two primary choices: to accept conditions as they exist or accept the responsibility for changing them. And we have a large variety of choices when it comes to foods to eat. God is right. Of every tree of the garden you may fully eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. So, in order to make a wrong choice, we have to ignore all the other trees of the garden and then make that choice for the forbidden tree. That is what it is. All right. Barbecuing, you heard about that this morning. Only converts protein to nitrosamines, which leads to carcinogens and then trouble. Then we're wondering why. Why is the cancer rate so high in Barbados? Fried, greasy, oily, fatty foods. We like them. Gluten and others. Gluten has in nothing nutritious that the body doesn't already produce. I just set my will there to tell you that. Gluten really has nothing nutritious that the body does not already produce. We like gluten, we promote gluten. I'm going to be fighting against that. Because glutamic acid is already formed by the body. White flour, wash. You're trying to get the glutamic acid from it. All right, let's move on. All right, fried. Some people do this with vegetables as well. They barbecue it. Choice, healthy foods. All right. We need a paradigm shift. And that's where we're going to close off soon. A paradigm is a pattern or model of thinking that influences how we behave. It is like a map that helps us decide which direction to go. Now tell me, if you have a wrong map giving you directions to a particular place, is your sincerity going to get you to that destination? Eh? No. Is your determination going to get you to that destination? You're going to be determined. Is your sincerity going to get you to the right destination? Because your map is wrong. Mental maps. The story is told. Dr. Covey wrote a book called 7 Secrets of Highly Effective People. And in that book, he mentioned a story about a man who got in a train at a train stop with 6 children one evening. And people were coming home from a hard working day. Some were tired, relaxing, reading the paper, just resting back. And the children came into the train at the stop and kicked people's feet out of the way, knocked people's paper out of their hands, and up and down the train, inside the train. And the man came in and sat down quietly and laid his head back. Somebody ventured to elbow him. Excuse me, sir. Do you realize your children are wreaking havoc in this train while you come in here and sit down quietly? People were angry, upset. The man says, oh, yes, you're right. But we just came from the hospital and their mother just died. I don't know how to handle it, and I let them express the best way they know how. Immediately, everybody's had a paradigm shift. Their mental maps were changed from anger to compassion. And they called the children to themselves and started consoling them. What a difference. It reminds me when I went in a bank some time ago. I was at the line waiting, and a gentleman came in. As the door opened, I went straight in, and people started complaining and fretting. But the man went to the side to deposit a wallet into the section there, rather than at the ATM. And then the people's mouths were shut. They should have waited. There was a total paradigm shift from complaining and fretting to immediately remaining silent. I said nothing at the time. I just let the man go in. We just move out of the way and let him go in. Paradigm shift. Sometimes you get that when somebody jumps you and you frighten, and then you turn that into anger and then hit the person because you are bad. A shift. Emotion. But listen, it is like a map that helps us decide which direction to go. The maps we see determines what we do. And what we do determines the results we get. And the Bible bears that out. As a man thinketh in his, don't get vexed with me pointing here, the heart, deep down inside the human mind, is the very heart of our thinking. Some people, and I've heard some theologians say, it refers to this 4-chambered organ. We think with that. Can you imagine that? Just like a big intellectual told me that cold water does make you fat. Well, water has no calories. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he going to become. If we have shift paradigms, our behavior and results change as well. So we need a new paradigm ahead. New paradigm. We can actually have a new paradigm toward a person that we don't like. A lot of us have favorite, and we relate to that favorite in a different way than we would relate to somebody else who may not be our favorite. But let that person do something kind to us and see that our paradigm shifts concerning that person. Sometimes we give some people more liberties than others. It is hypocrisy, but that is our way of operating. And we respect some people's bad behavior, saying that, we understand because, but others we want to come down hard on. All of that. You can get rid of old habits, change unwanted situations, make better lifestyle choices, choose a better diet, choose better food, choose better friends, choose better reactions to situations and problems, and give yourself the wisdom and courage to achieve great things in your life by making good, educated, and right choices in life. That is it, all right? So, remember this formula as well. If you keep on doing things the same way you have been accustomed to doing them, you will get the same results you are accustomed to getting. If you want different results, you have to do things differently. I tried out that experiment this week for 10 days. I wanted some different results. So I went on the lemonade, cayenne pepper, maple syrup diet, 10 days. I felt a lot better than I accustomed feeling before. And I exercised, don't get me wrong. I did some mild exercises with it. And I felt so better. My brain was so clear. I saw and understood things clearer than before. I had more energy. I was able to go up steps without breathing a panting breath. I said I want to do things differently to get different results. Let me see a change. And since I'm leaving on Tuesday, I plan to follow through with that for the next 2 months and then see how it goes again and then move on from there. Yes, you give yourself time frames to achieve certain goals. And then you, according to the results you see, you keep practicing. If there are certain things affecting that change, you drop them off too. You want different results? So this evening ends. My wife was telling me go for another 3 days. That's all right for she to say it, right? All right. Are you willing to take the risk involved in your changing your lifestyle? Do you prefer to wait until you feel or see the symptoms of a terminally ill disease? You prefer that? When the doctor can pronounce you dead, then you will not be able to make any choice. You prefer to that? Do that? A lot of people, I see people sometimes walking on the road. We stop we talk. I said, so well, I went to the doctor the other day, diagnosed that I got heart condition. So I told me to exercise. Do you have to wait till then? Maybe too late. Do you prefer to wait until the doctor diagnoses your disease and tells you to stop smoking, drinking, or eating unhealthily before you stop bad practicing? Will you wait to hear the bad news before you are motivated to start exercising and being more health conscious? Or can good news accomplish it? Yeah? All right. Dangerous risk. All right, I don't have time for this. It may be too far gone for some people or too late. Bad choices, premarital sex, HIV/AIDS, STIs, pregnancy, homosexuality and lesbianism, sexual perversion. Too many negative risks involved. It will produce psychosexual guilt and damages, doubt, shame, fear, and misapprehension. It goes against the conscience and the better judgment. It impairs the judgment and the sense of right from wrong. It will let God down. It will let you down. You will let yourself down. You will think less of yourself. You will lose self-respect. And you will let down your parents. You will let down your friends. You will let down your brethren as well. It will destroy your Christian character and values. It will destroy your influence and reputation as well. It will bring shame and reproach to the cause of Christ and truth. It is not what you want to do. And it's not the thing you want to do either. You are going against your better judgment. And it carries negative consequences like depression and others. I don't have time for this one. My time is gone. But there are some points in terms of managing change. But be persistent, be flexible and creative, think outside the box, study the Word of God, it empowers the mind, accept uncertainty and be optimistic. And keep fit and healthy. There's Obama right in there, playing basketball. And encourage yourself with something called positive self-talk. Tell yourself. Because, you know when you're in the bathroom singing, don't you sound good? The human mind accepts its own tone of voice, intonation, and everything like it, and it goes back. What you tell yourself can eventually persuade you. was what leads people to commit suicide. So give yourself some positive self-talk. And I close with this statement. So your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. By changing nothing changes. And I'm not going through those. That's a Bible text at the end. You can be or do whatever you think you can through Christ who strengthens and motivates you. Brethren, thank you very much. We will have more questions in the panel discussion.
We want to thank Elder Saul for his thought-provoking presentation. We will now ask Steve Codrington. Steve will look at exercise and behavioral change. How behavioral change can impact on us as we decide to make positive change in our lives. And one of those positive changes, as Elder Saul spoke about, is exercise. Thank you.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It is good to be here again once another Sabbath day. And it's good to see so many of you in church this evening. I'm just looking for a short period of time at exercise and behavioral change. And I'll begin by giving a little personal account of myself. For a number of years, I have been eating as I like, calling it vegetarian, by the way, doing as I like, so to speak, when it comes to eating habits, and thinking that I can keep myself in really good shape. But as the years went by, things started to change, especially when you reach the age of 40 and going up. You start to see changes in your body that you don't like. I remember back in 2009, while on a trip to Boston with my family. I went out there in the cold just to experience snow, but I will never be going again. It ain't fun. For some people, maybe it's not for me. And I caught a cold while I was down there, and I had a nosebleed for the entire 2 weeks, or 3 weeks it was. But anyhow, it was during that time that I realized that my blood pressure was high. And I realized that when I got back to Barbados, when I got checked up and such like, I found myself, the ground under me was seeming to be moving, brushing my teeth in front of me was seeming to be strange. And it was a totally weird feeling, something that I was not accustomed to. Then I noticed other things started to go around with my body, and even seeing things, I had to bring things closer to my face. I waited till it was bright in the morning before I got my Bible study started. And as usual, when you go to the doctor, they ask you how old you are, and you tell them that you just turned 40, and what they tell you, that's to be expected. You're getting down. You're getting old. It's at 40 most of the time when you start to wear glasses, when you start to see things happening that you don't like. But knowing me that I'm a person, I don't accept anything at all. I figured that's a bare joke. You don't have to wait till 40 to get these things happening to you. And at 40, they don't have to happen. There are some people who pass 40 and they don't have a symptom of anything. But anyhow, after realizing that my blood pressure was high, and I told my family members, my sister told me, boy, your mother got it. Sorry, your mother had it because she's dead. Your father got it. I got it. Your sister got it. And she started going on the whole line and telling me nearly every single person, except for my last sister. All of us have high blood pressure. Well, I said, I know that high blood pressure is a silent killer. Well, my brother don't live with and telling me not he. But I know scientists will go up every now and then too. But anyhow, I was not willing to accept that all of us have high blood pressure and we all must take medication for it. So I decided, Steve, get off your lazy behind, start exercising. Now that was my reason for joining what we call the exercise club. And I started riding vigorously. And you know me, as anybody who know me well, I overdo everything. So the doctor would say, moderately exercise. I moderately exercise for a short time. But after a while, I was really from St. Philip to St. Lucie and back. Because I always felt that when it comes to exercise, more is always better. However, recent research is showing that overdoing a particular exercise, and overdo varies from person to person, please, actually can be detrimental. But anyhow, I started riding. I changed my diet seriously and became a really strict vegetarian. I know here we dilly-dally between vegetarianism and whatever else you want to call it. And we like a lot of chunks and ground burger and, as Brother Saul said, gluten that we were adoring left, right, and center for years. And yet our people were gaining weight on this vegetarian diet. And everybody would look and say, you can't be a vegetarian, because my idea of vegetarianism in my head is that you're a plant eater, you should not be fat. But yet my belly was going up in the air, and my weight was going up to the point where, I think it was around 2008, I was 265 pounds at 6'4". And I remember years before that, my stomach used to give me trouble, and I went to a doctor, and he asked me, Dr. Stephen Griffith, if I remember well, in Belleville, he asked me who recommended me, because he was a specialist, who recommended him. I said, no one. I just looked in the book and said, I can skip all the other doctors and come straight to the specialist. And he asked me what I was eating. And I gave him an account of what I was eating, all vegetarian foods. And like some of you young people, it included macaroni pie, whole wheat macaroni pie, or the other one filled with vegetables in it and such, like with the vegetarian cheese, and as we call it. And he looked at me straight and told me, young man, you're eating beer, and he called the S word. He told me that I must go back to the diet of the old people, large portions of ground provisions, lots of vegetables, fruits and nuts, water, and what such like. What the Brother Duggan was saying for years, but which we don't listen to. So in order to effect behavioral change in myself, I had to come to a crossroad. I had to come to a crisis. It's either change the diet and exercise seriously, or leave 4 boys behind. So I decided to make a change. Since then, I have not looked back. Why? Because there are certain benefits to exercise that I will share with you this evening that you will find to be interesting. My belief is that if persons are not educated as to the benefits of something, they will see no need to try it. So I'm here to educate you as to the benefits of exercise. I can tell you that one of the main benefits I see is that you feel more self-assured. You feel more confident in yourself. You don't sit down and wait for people to do things to you. You get up and you do them yourselves. Do it yourself, sorry. But I'll share some of the many benefits of exercise so you can see, for those who are couch potatoes or for those who can't be bothered to exercise themselves, here are some excellent benefits to exercise. But before I go into that, let me ask one quick question. For those who don't exercise, or for those who hardly exercise, or for those who exercise a little, what will cause you, like as of tomorrow, to really make an effort to exercise every single day? Brother Saul talked about it earlier just now. Is it that you have to have a health crisis to start exercising? Or do you just will naturally get I can start doing a little 5K walk every day, just so. I just want you to raise some hands. Let me see those who will exercise if there's a crisis. And you are told, well, if you don't, you're going to die, so you got to exercise. Anybody? Sister Margaret, my sister here. That's 3. Let me say so naturally get up tomorrow morning and just going to exercise. Full stop. You don't need any motivation. You can just get up and do it. All right, let me see those who will do it tomorrow. I see less hands. All right. You know, as I think about exercise, I remember Brother Peter for the last 2 years. And, you know, he look younger now. Peter Broom, you know, he looks younger. And his stomach look flatter. That's true. And he look healthy, you know. Why? Because he instituted a program within himself because he wasn't satisfied with what he was seeing. His wife do it? Oh, sorry. So that was your motivating factor. Shape up, or shape out? Oh, I thought so. All right, anyhow, as being in a gym, working with others who need help for some area or another, I've been constantly asking those who come to me, what is your reason for coming into Lifestyle Family Fitness, that is gym that Brother Sammy owns? And this is the reason most women give, because it's mostly women who come to gyms. Men don't come that easily, mostly women. We have a fair amount of men, but it's mostly women. 1, I'm getting too fat. 2, I don't like how I look. 3, I just don't like how I look. 4, I still don't like how I look. So the reason for most women joining the gym is that they just do not like how their bodies look. So it's an appearance thing. Let's go to the main. What's your reason for joining the gym? What's your reason for starting to exercise? Nobody don't find me attractive. I don't like how I look. I'm not satisfied with looking this way and they look down at the bellies. But then, when I tell them about the things that they have to cut out in order to effect change in their appearance and in the way how they feel, then it is hard. I remember people saying to me, when I said to them, you have to cut out anything with sugar and all the lot of salt and all the flour products. Now, when I say the flour products, I just above a bakery. Bakery below a gym at top. But when you tell them cut out all the bread, the flour, the pasta, and pasta includes macaroni, spaghetti, lasagna, and all these things, most of them say, so what you expect me to eat? So when we look at the Barbadians as a whole, most of us eat a flour-based diet. We get up on mornings, it is tea and bread. During the day, it might be a burger and a drink. At night, it is more bread with tea or with juice or whatever. So our diet is mostly a sugar or carbohydrate-based diet. And that is why as vegetarians, we can't lose weight that easily. So rather than having a lot of peas and greens, nuts, grains and such like, we are eating lots of carbohydrates, thinking that we are doing our bodies good, and in fact, we are keeping our bodies sick. And I was like that. Plenty of pasta, whole wheat, enough vegetables in it and such like, but yet my weight was going up. And I always remembered when I started writing, somebody told me, you wait till you pass 40 to start exercising. As if 40 was sometime when you should stop. But really and truly, you should be starting. But anyhow, here are some of the benefits of exercise, which I found happening in myself. And if you hear them, you can tell me if you like any of them as well. Increased energy. Brother Saul talked about it already. Let me see those who exercise and notice that they have an increase of energy. Or when you finish your exercise, you end up going back to bed and say you got to rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. 6. Yes, Brother Duggan has the record for the steps now. I think it's 88. 85. Right, I went down there and I did 13 one evening. Then pushed it to 17. And it felt really good. And some woman passed and told me, you don't do nothing yet. They got old man that's coming here, he do 88. So, now there's vacation, I have to get up there. It says here, the right combination of exercise and nutrition creates a hormonal environment conducive to fat loss, increased muscle strength, and increased energy. When your body is working at peak efficiency, your energy levels soar. And I like that. I remembered in the same 2010, my head teacher asked me to take over the PE program. And that's after being in the classroom for 23 years. And I knew that was God calling me to come out of the classroom and really get myself fit because it was getting kind of lazy. I remember years ago, Doug, I called him and told him, Doug, I was here washing a car and I'm out of breath. That's when I was living out St. James 8 years ago. And Doc said, I'm going to come for you and exercise with you because I think you need exercise. I tell him, it's walking thing for lazy people. And the first morning, Doc came at my house around 5:30, and it wasn't even quite up yet. But I put on my clothes, quickly brushed my teeth, say a prayer, and I threw the door. And he said, we can just walk up the hill. But that was the time I thought I was going to die because half at the hill, I couldn't see Doc anymore. I was gasping for breath, and all Doc was doing was walking. And I knew then it was really unfit. So I thank him for starting me out. And I'm thankful that I'm able to continue on my own. So walking is a good form of exercise. It increases your energy. And I can believe that a man 20 years older than me can move so fast. And I still think he could almost beat a lot of us in here still. Anyhow, so with this increased energy every day, things become much easier to do. As a teacher, I find teachers complaining and saying, well, when they go home, they are tired, they have to rest. But they spend the whole day either standing at the board writing or sitting down correcting books. They don't exercise. Standing or sitting is not exercise, but yet they are tired. Anyhow, benefit number 2, it increases your self-esteem. Gaining control of your body size and weight through fitness is an amazing way to increase self-esteem. You will look better and are more confident, which empowers you in everything you do. Is that not true? You will find that the self-discipline required and learned through regular exercise spills over into other areas of your life, and you'll be better able to make the other necessary and desirable changes. And that has been very true for me. Sometimes when I'm out riding and I'm going up, like maybe Horsell or one of them, I am determined that I'm not going to get off even if the pedal is going around dead slow. I would just look at the top of the hill and say, well, that's the promised land. And it doesn't make any sense being so close to the promised land and stopping. That means I've fallen by the wayside. I have to get to the top. Don't care how hard my heart beating. If it's beating here or beating in my leg or whatever, I'm going to get to the top. And since when I get to the top, I see myself as having attained what God wants to do in me. And that motivates me in other areas of life to say no to a whole bunch of temptations that come my way when I'm at work or play or whatever the case may be. Number 3. It increases your mental focus. This is good for children, especially those who are studying, and adults as well. Did you know that the latest research shows that exercise helps keep the brain sharp well into old age? Anything that involves mental focus and concentration is improved. You also stand a much better chance of avoiding diseases such as Alzheimer's, which is on the rise now, and senility. Benefit number 4, it decreases your risk of a heart attack. I remember a little while ago in Barbados, people were just falling down like flies. They were inventing ways to die. By exercising regularly and making positive changes in your diet, you lower your cholesterol and blood pressure and greatly diminish the chances of having a heart attack. I remember a little while back, I think it was late last year when I had my cholesterol checked, the machine came out saying LO. And it was told that you have to go and get a little more detailed test done in the lab to check what my cholesterol level that was. And I had never heard of that before. Prior to that, I had always seen it reasonably, well, not high, but that you can read it well. And to hear that it was so low that I have to go and get a specialist, I felt very fussy with myself that I had brought it down through exercise and such like. But that's by the way. Benefit number 5, decreases your risk of osteoporosis. Regular exercise, especially weight-bearing exercises, reduce the risk of osteoporosis and can even reverse it by building bone tissue. That's why it's good to go to the gym, people. And Brother Sammy's gym, all of us at this church have been offered a special price. Too cheap, and it's very sweet. And if we come there, you can improve your body in such a way that you'll be amazed. You should see so many people. Anybody seen Sharon Bourne recently? It's how sharp as she's looking. Huh? You don't see her? All right, she's looking more self-assured in herself, huh? And she's keeping herself in tip-top shape. She comes to the gym, she works out, and she enjoys what she's doing. Sometimes she's a bit miserable, yeah? But nonetheless, she's enjoying it. Reduces the risk, benefit number 6. Reduce the risk of breast cancers by up to 60%. Who would have thought that exercising could reduce breast cancer risk? It says that estradiol and progesterone, 2 ovarian hormones linked to breast cancer tumors production, are lowered in the body by exercise. Imagine that with me. Just by simply exercising, whether it be walking, running, gym work, these steps, whatever, reduces your risk of breast cancer. So you get to keep those 2 beauties a much longer period of time. So there you have it. A 2-pronged cancer prevention exercise benefit. Benefit number 7, increases your strength and stamina. Every physical thing you do becomes easier, which is immensely useful in everyday life. Yeah, you pick up cement bags like paper now. One time, remember Dr. Lower back used to hurt me a lot. Oh, you tell me, you got cancer in my back? You remember good, right? I figured that because my father died with the prostate cancer and such, I figured a lot of things were wrong with me. Yeah, a little paranoid at times. But nonetheless, I found out by exercising and sticking to it and being consistent. Because when it comes to exercise, it's something called consistency. For years now, my brother and I used to weight train, but we would train like 2 or 3 months stop, train a month stop, all sorts of things. But it's now a year and a half I have been consistent in exercise, and I've seen tremendous benefits in myself. One time I could not stand here in front of you and talk freely. I will always feel slightly dizzy, feel a bit weird, will have to hold on to something and speak when I was doing prayers at school. But now I'm free to do as I move about as I like without any strange feeling, so to speak. Now, exercise benefit number 8, reduces depression. Some people are always down. The production of endorphins, which is the feeling good hormones, is increased through exercise. Nothing improves mood and suppresses depression better than those endorphins. Let me see those who exercise when they're troubled or they got something weighing them down. Nobody? Now, I remember when it was weird, there was a number of problems like 2 years ago. I would leave home and run from home to 6 Roads or from home to Border Hall. Of course, I ain't running back. I would catch the bus back up, get quarrel with the minibus man. I got to stand by the door because it was that soaking wet. But nonetheless, just getting out there and running. Don't you run or exercise and talk to God at the same time? Don't you find it's easier to talk to God when you're exercising than when you're just sitting down? Yeah. Sometimes I'm running and I'm singing in my head, or I'm writing and I'm singing in my head, sorry. Or I'm going up a very steep hill and I'm singing in a little while we're going home, which means I'll conquer the hill eventually. But I find that by exercising and talking to God or communing with God, it becomes easier when you're exercising. When you get home, the problem that looks so insurmountable seems very small, just from exercising. Exercise benefit number 9. How much time I got left? About 3 minutes? Time gone? All right, finishing up. It decreases your stress levels. The worries and stresses of everyday life can stick with you long after the workday is done. Exercise right after work is the perfect natural therapy that can change your mood, and you'll sleep better too. But I just ran through a few of them and just called them, and I'm not going to discuss them. 1, improves digestion. 2, enhances your quality of sleep. 3, adds a sparkle and radiance to your complexion. I hope I get better looking. Improves your body shape. I oftentimes, Brother Sammy will tell you, we walk into the bank or we walk into some place, and the first thing people come to you, wait, use exercise. You going to a gym? And they question you, where is your gym? Can I join? Because they see something that they desire to be like. I get that from people when they go into the bank a lot. And I would hand out a little card or give them a little number and tell them, well, here's where the gym is, come along. We're looking after your health. We don't just tell you come in and pay, and we just take the money and go. You know, those sort of things. Then we have here, tones and firms the muscles. Who wants a sagging body? Anybody? No. So we want our muscles to be firm. Provides more muscular definition. I know the young boys like that. That's why we have Azrael and all of them in the gym. Enables weight loss and keeps it off, which makes it easier to qualify for affordable health insurance. Makes you limber. Your muscles feel loose. You feel more energetic. Less pain in the joints. Improves your endurance. I like that one. More endurance. Burns extra calories. Improves circulation and helps to reduce blood pressure. I have a lady at school. She always thinks I got poor circulation. But she does nothing about it. She just eats as usual. And she drinks Busters every day. And keeps taking medication for poor circulation. I told her to come and exercise. She ain't got time for that. She's busy. It's in the last few of them now. Increases lean muscle tissue in the body. Improves appetite for healthy foods. Alleviates menstrual cramps, women. Alters and improves muscle chemistry. Increases your metabolic rate. The rate at which your body is able to burn the food you put in it. Enhances coordination and balance. Improves your posture. Eases and possibly eliminates back problems and pain. It worked for me. Makes the body use calories more efficiently. Lowers your resting heart rate. Increases muscle size through increase in muscle fibers. Improves body composition. Decreases bone density. Decreases fat tissue more easily. Makes your body more agile. It is the greatest body tune-up. Reduces joint discomfort. Improves athletic performance. Enriches sexuality. May add a few years to your life. Increases your range of motion. Enhances your immune system. You find the people who exercise a lot generally have better immune system. Those who over-exercise, like marathon runners, so to speak, they have more colds than others. But if you're a moderate exercise person, that's good. Increases your enzymes in your body which burn fat. Increases the number and size of the mitochondria in muscle cells. Increases concentration of the oxygen, of the myoglobin, which carries oxygen in the muscles. Enhances oxygen transport through the body. Improves your liver function. Increases the speed of muscle contraction and reaction time. Enhances feedback through nervous systems. Strengthens the heart. Improves blood flow. Helps to alleviate varicose veins. That's one that women have to deal with. Increases maximum cardiac output. Increases the weight and size of the heart. Improves contractile function of the whole heart. And makes calcium transport in the body and heart more efficient. Aren't these not enough reasons to improve? Start exercising from tomorrow. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're going to have a little station set up downstairs where you can come and try different exercises. And if you put your mind to it, not wait until you reach a crisis like me to start, avert the crisis in the early, you'll see a lot of rich and rewarding benefits from exercise. Thank you.